Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. Um, we're going to hopefully quickly, go through a go high level walkthrough. All right, we're going to basically do a tour of where everything is. Um, and if you are already really familiar with go high level, um, you know where everything is and whatnot, maybe you could just skip this. But if you are new, this is going to be pretty important because there's a lot that goes on in Go High Level, and it's overwhelming for the most part. Okay, um, but yeah, basically, we're going to be going over all these different, um, uh, you know, sections within high level. I'm not going to spend time on things that are irrelevant to what we do in real estate. Okay, there's just some things in there that we don't ever really need. Right? It's built out for other purposes. Um, yeah, with that said, we're going to be going over the dashboard. I'm not going to go again, like, I'm not going to like show how everything works necessarily, or else this one course would probably be like 8 hours long. But I'm going to give you a tour of where everything is and briefly, how things function. But yeah, where the dashboard is, and basically what you can do with it. Um, we're going to be talking about contacts and contact fields, probably some custom values. We're going to be talking about opportunities and pipelines, calendars, and how to edit them. And sync up your other outside calendars. Payments, really payments, I think is better described for documents, but it's where payments and documents and contracts are. AI agents, this is where we can create and edit our conversation AI and our voice AI. Automations, I think a better word for it is workflows, to be honest. But automations is where we build out workflows to automate anything and everything, whether it's actions to take after someone fills out a form, to moving someone along the pipeline if certain things happen, if they're tagged, or really it's also how we trigger our AI agents. So that's automations is kind of where the magic happens really in high level. Sites is where we're going to be seeing funnels. Okay, that's our landing pages, and then at the same time our websites and forms are all going to be within sites. And reputation, that's where we can develop automation for Google reviews, right? So that we can follow up with clients and get them to leave reviews on Google, and at the same time automatically respond to people that do leave reviews on Google, and then also reporting. Okay, reporting is going to be where we can see voicemails, but at the same time, if we have several people on our team, we could see who's responding to text messages, phone calls and everything. So if say you have like an acquisition team, you can really kind of see who's performing and who's doing the most activity based on what's going on in the reporting section. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So here, first we have our dashboard. Now, nothing is really going on in this dummy account I have going on here, but it is, you can see there's a lot of different types of data that we could be pulling in here, and gives us a bird's eye view of how everything is functioning. Okay. Opportunity status is going to be a lot of details that is going on in the opportunity section that we're going to get to here. We could set up values. So, if we are dealing with certain types of properties, we can say, hey, we have this many this much dollar amount potential revenue in these types of contacts, right? And then you can kind of see like what type of value you got in the pipeline potentially. Funnels. This is basically going to be tracking how your pipelines and where people are, and really, again, this is all about just getting a bird's eye view of how things are functioning on your platform. And a lot of this is customizable. You can pull in, if you didn't want to see sales efficiency, you can pull up. We can create different, I guess. Different items that we want to see data on. We might want to see how many contacts they're funneling in. We might want to see how different contacts with different tags. How many expired listings do we have in here? How many pre-foreclosure? All these types of different data points you could put in here. So the dashboard is made to be customizable. So you can sit here and click edit dashboard. Again, I'm not going to get too this. Editing a dashboard is probably a course on its own. And you can add different widgets, just like I was talking about, and get the type of data that you want to see funneled on in here. And people mostly customize this into what they're trying to track and KPIs and everything. All right. So, oh yeah, we're not saving this. Next up, we're going to be covering conversations. So conversations, this is where you're going to be able to see all the different types of conversations that's happening. I like being in conversations, just seeing, what the AI kind of type conversation. When we get to the AI portion of the course, we're going to spend some time here in conversations, just learning how to train the AI and seeing how to do that within conversations. Yeah. So again, this dummy count, not a good example of what conversations really look like, but during the course, further down the course, we will get a little bit deeper into conversations. But basically, this is just where you're going to be seeing the emails, the text messages that are going in and out. All right. Let's go ahead and get to contacts here. Okay. I'll get to calendars in a sec, but I'm going to go kind of down the list here of our how I had it written out. So contacts, it is what it's basic, right? This is where all of our where we could find all of our contacts. And if you're looking for a group of, say, you have people that are tagged agent, or you have people that are tagged as buyers or sellers or whatever. This is a great area to find them. Maybe you're in different markets. Like, I just want to see everyone that I have in Detroit or Phoenix, whatever. The filters is where you can really filter out your contacts and kind of section out everyone here. This is useful if you really want to also move people along in a workflow. You're like, okay, I want to move them to a different automation sequence. You can do that here. This is also where you import your contacts, and you could also export contacts as well. You can do group changing opportunities. If there's a chunk of people or in your contacts, so you want to create opportunities, you could do that here. You could even add them to automations. So if you, like I was saying, you can change automations, send SMS, like a bulk SMS. It's also same with email. And then you can add or remove tags or delete them. Okay, so this is doing basically this just helps you do a lot of things, bulk actions, depending on the types of specific people you want to reach out to in your contacts. Okay, moving on. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to touch on calendars real quick. It's pretty simple. There are all types of different calendars that you can create here. Okay, out of the box, everything is pretty much we have our custom calendars, but there's nothing really too much special about it, right? They all kind of need to be edited to what your availability is. If there's certain hours in the day that you don't want to be taking appointments, or you don't want AI to be setting appointments, you'd be setting that up in the calendar settings. And at the same time, you could be setting that up in your personal profile. And, as far as the different types of calendars, there's round robin calendars. So you can have like a team that it is on, if you have like a team of agents or whatever, and you want to distribute leads evenly as they come in, AI could be booking, just around robin. So it's just kind of taking turns and giving everyone a fair opportunity at leads, kind of thing. There's service schedules. I mean, there's a lot of different types of calendars that you can mess around with, but really, this is like on par with Calendly or anything, right? You get links for the calendar, so you just send that out, and people can easily book appointments with you. So it's a very robust calendar feature that we got going on here. All right, let's get to opportunities. This is really how it's the best way for you to be able to track your leads, right? You can really see people that are coming in and where they are in the process. Now, by default, we have this will also be covered a lot more extensively in courses going forward. Again, I'm just trying to give a overview tour, which is hard for me because I just kind of want to go in depth right now with the details on how all of this works, but that is all for different courses. But essentially, like the warm, for example, this is where AI will send you your warm leads, as it's having its conversations. Or if the AI is booking meetings with people, they'll pop up here. So these are already this is what you get out of the box with us. You could obviously come in and customize everything. However, there are certain parts in this pipeline that are already connected to automations. And so there's certain things that you don't want to necessarily start changing, or things might start breaking. But out of the box, we have acquisition and disposition pipelines. We also have, for agents, you could easily create one that's specifically for certain showings or people that are interested. This is basically, we're looking to sell properties on the dispo, and we're looking to buy properties in acquisitions. It's pretty self-explanatory there. All right, payments. Like I was saying earlier, I think this would be better named documents, but you could have invoices, estimates, documents, and contracts. So the documents and contracts is a lot like DocuSign, right? So you could create documents that are e-sign type contracts. So it's great when we're sending off LOIs or purchase agreements. You could build out templates, and you could even this will also be in the course how to use all this in the course coming up, but you're able to really, it's nice to have everything in one place. So here you can have your leads and then see which leads have which contracts sent to them. You can track who's signed, who hasn't. So that's all done here. You could also do invoices, and have payments coming through. So this is where, if you have renters, for example, you can track make sure people are paying their rent. Or seller finance kind of deals. You could do that all through here. There are, of course, things in here that a lot of real estate peeps aren't really using as much, like subscriptions or products, right? It's there's just things that isn't really relevant, but you might use, but usually not so much. Okay. All right. Let's go to the AI agent. So we have conversation AI and voice AI. Conversation AI is what's doing like the texting, web chat, Facebook chat, those types of conversations. and voice AI is taking your inbound calls. There is no outgoing voice AI yet. We have a course on, we'll probably have a course here on how to make that. But that is using N8N and VAPI 11 Labs. It's just a different, we have to build that out separately. Outbound calls, they say, is coming out soon for high level. So maybe by the time you're taking this course, I need to update this to basically say, hey, yeah, we got outbound calls now. But it's not quite there yet. And honestly, I don't recommend outbound AI agents, outbound calls, because just from my experience, the conversion rates are pretty bad, compared to SMS or email. People don't really know they're talking to an AI agent if it's through text message or through chat. But once you get it to the AI voice, I notice a lot of people, they don't want to talk to a machine. But yeah, basically, this is where everything that you will be, you can see your different agents here. And you can click on them. And I'm not going into the rabbit holes here. I'm just showing you where everything is. And then you have knowledge bases here as well. And knowledge bases are key because that's basically additional training for your AI agents. So let's say you have several properties you're trying to sell. And what you'd do is you'd make a separate knowledge base per property with all the details about the property that you can put in there. And then assign that to a certain agent, AI employee. And from there, they'd be able to know exactly which knowledge base to get those details from. So it's that knowledge bases are key in creating certain, not necessarily instructions, right? It's not determining the goal of the AI, but it is giving the AI detailed information that you think is key. It could be about your company, it could be about your processes, your services and everything. And that's where knowledge bases come in handy. Okay. Content AI, this is basically just giving you an overview of what type of content AI is generating and what you can be. Because so, anyways, again, we'll get to that in just a little bit. So marketing, all right. So marketing is going to be where you can manage your social media. You could also manage your email templates here. So if you go to emails, you can just kind of track what is going on as far as like your email campaigns, what's being delivered, what's your bounce rate. It gives you a little bit more details. Same with campaigns. This is where you can create those email campaigns, which is nice because and I'll demonstrate this later on too. But you can create campaigns with email campaigns within workflows. However, you'll notice that kind of becomes cumbersome because the workflow is just going to become really, really, really long as you keep adding emails to the campaigns. So email campaigns specifically are nice because you could build out large email campaigns and just have those sent out individually. And then workflow campaigns, just like I was saying, you could build out workflow campaigns. But again, if you're just going to say, hey, I'm building out an email campaign or something like that, and you're doing workflows, you'll notice it's just going to get really long and better off in just doing that in your email campaign here and creating one. Bulk actions. This is basically if you're just sending blasts out at once, which I don't ever really recommend. But it just puts a lot of pressure on your email domains. But it's whatever you're really looking to do. Snippets, these are for quick text messages. So as you're having conversations with people, you can go through a snippet and have a quick reply. Countdown timers, not going to really use this. Trigger links, maybe use trigger links. A trigger link is basically when somebody clicks on a link, like let's say in an email or a text message you're sending out, or maybe it's something on your website. As soon as somebody clicks it, you want it to trigger a workflow. Maybe if someone clicks on something on your website and you have their email address, you want to send an email out to them immediately. So that's where you could build out these trigger links. But if you could just imagine, trigger links are what they sound like. They're links that when somebody clicks on it, you can create a automated workflow action based on that trigger. Okay. Affiliate manager, brand boards, ad manager. Ad manager is great in this because, if you're doing Facebook ads, Google ads, you can have everything managed here. You can create your ads here, manage them here, and that way you're not using Google's or Meta's clunky user experience interface, right? Because that is brutal. Using Meta ads is if you made Facebook ads, that's a big pain in the butt. Same with Google, and this just makes it a lot easier to create those ads and manage them all in one spot. All right. This is an added feature, but I always recommend it if you're doing ads, use something like this because it's just going to make your life a lot easier. All right, let's just keep moving down the line. We're going to go over automations here quickly. This is where our workflows are. And I'm just going to show you how, what they kind of look like. This is our off-market campaign workflow that, everyone gets here. And we are going to, in our future courses here, can't remember if it's a module like 2 or 3 or whatever, but we're going to get in depth into automations and how to create them. And all the different types of actions that you can be doing here, the different types of triggers and starting different workflows. That'll all be covered, but this is, an example of what a workflow looks like. Okay. And if you could imagine, these are just steps of different actions that are taking place as users, customers, clients are funneling through. All right. And sites. This is where funnels, websites, and really forms, right? Those are kind of be primarily what we'll be using in here. You could do surveys, send them out to past clients or whatever to get their feedback. But in a nutshell, it's going to be funnels, which is our landing pages, our websites, which is a website, and forms, which is the forms that we developed. And if we went back to our A2P applications, setting up the all of that, we went into here a little bit, building out our opt-in form, and at the same time building out our privacy policy page. But we will be going in depth into website building and forms here a little bit later. Okay. And like there's some things that you're seeing here that you might not even, a lot of things I just like take out and hide from users because again, we're not really using these. Now, if you're like, hey, I want memberships, and what memberships is this is like if we're making a community, a course, right? This is a community that you're actually taking this course on right now. Okay. So this is actually an example of what a community in high level is like. Now, if you're looking to do courses, definitely let me know and I'll turn this on for you. It's just, I put it away because most people here in real estate, we're not using this, right? We're not using this for our business here. So, again, I try to take things out that are just a distraction. Okay. Because there's so much again going on in high level. It's an all-in-one app, CRM, marketing, whatever. And I don't want to clutter it with stuff that's just never going to get touched and collect dust. And if anything, it's a distraction from what we're really trying to do here. Media storage is where we can, load up files. We can have contracts. We can have images. You could have folders of our, properties, and you could also connect your Google Drive. So you could have those files here and easily accessible by you and your team. So this could be really useful, actually. Reputation is, I mentioned it before. This is really where you can see how you're doing in positive or negative reviews. And you can send out, requests to say, hey, send me a review to whoever. So this is nice. This is one of those things I actually used to hide away, but it's really useful for realtors because it's kind of a pain in the butt to sit here and be like, hey, it was great working with you. Could you write a review on Google? And if they don't, then what? Well, that's where this comes in, because it's like, if they don't, then it'll keep reminding them to say, hey, write a review, it'd be great. And then you can, give them some carrots on the stick kind of thing. If you, write a review, so-and-so, you can get a gift card or whatever. It's just, clever ways to help get those reviews for you without having to constantly do it yourself and remember, oh, I got to give so and so this link so they can give me a review. It's all automated here. Okay. Reporting, like I mentioned a little bit before, this is where you're able to generate reports and at the same time really see, your voicemails coming in, recorded phone calls. If you're recording those, you can see how your team's doing, like who's answering what phone calls, who's spending X amount of time on the phones. Your ad reports could all be here, your Google ads. So you can have a lot of different types of reporting going on here. Like here, yeah, agent reporting, exactly. Like how many leads are coming in, what's open, won, abandoned, loss, conversions. You could see that here. This is basically your opportunities. So just a lot of different stats that are in the reporting section that just a little bit more in depth. More in depth than your dashboard. Again, your dashboard is kind of like the bird eye view of how everything is going, where your reporting is where you can go down into nitty gritty and really figure out how your KPIs are working out. And really, yeah, like just seeing, what agents are doing what they're supposed to be doing and what agents aren't. App marketplace, this is where you can add add-ons. There's a gazillion different apps that are easily connected here, but for the most part, you don't necessarily need anything in here. And then let's go into settings. I'm going to give you a little tour of the settings. So you have your business profile. We filled this out in that first module. Billing. So you'll add your card if your card's not added yet. It should be, but then you'll be able to access a wallet, and your wallet is where your usage fees are going to be coming out of, and your wallet will automatically get refilled once it hits a certain threshold. Your staff, this is basically all the team members that are on your team, right? Your employees, that you work with. You can have admins or users, and admins obviously have a little bit more permissions to do things on the app versus the users, and you could set those permissions based on the user. For example, I'm just going to use this, and we can go to roles and permissions, and you can see here you can turn on and off different parts that you want somebody to have access to. So if you don't want somebody to have access to your forms or have access to your contracts, or you don't want them to be able to export contacts, you can set those types of user permissions right in here. Opportunities, pipeline settings. This is obviously really minimal. You can't really do too much in the settings except for it's like you're editing the pipelines themselves. And we'll get into that in a different course. The automation settings is the main thing you're going to be coming here for is setting up your pausing, or I should say, yeah, like you're pausing your workflows for certain days. So holidays, it's great to come in here and set those up. Like, hey, I don't want you to be sending text messages out on Christmas, right? 4th of July or whatever. So holidays, you can set up pausing those workflows here. Um, and then calendars, you're editing here. Conversation AI, voice AI, your knowledge bases settings are here. Really, when you're on that front end and you click like, edit agent or whatever, it's going to bring you here into the settings to manage your AI employees. In the dedicated domain section, part of the module, we came here and talked about the email services. Same with the phone numbers. We did that. WhatsApp, if you use that, I don't know a lot of real estate pros who use WhatsApp that often, but if you are, just let me know and I'll open this up if you don't have access to it and you want to use WhatsApp. And it's basically just incorporating it just like any other like SMS email service kind of thing. Custom fields. So this is where we have your contact information, or your contacts information. If we have like, for example, obviously like your name, phone number, email, that's going to be in the contact stuff. Property details, that's going to be a lot of different well, let me click on it. I'll just kind of show you. So basically, it's like the address. You'll get your number of beds and baths. You'll also, if we have, if you're using us for your property data, you're going to also be getting, like past mortgage details on the property. You're going to be, if it's like listed, you'll get your the agent's name, the MLS description. There's a bunch of different details. Right. The litigator is huge here. There's a lot of details here that we pull from our skip trace data that is all populated. So this is where we can basically set out those types of custom fields. And at the same time, it's just there's a lot that goes into this, and this is really always growing. Like we don't necessarily take away contact fields. We're always just kind of adding more, and it also helps us be able to craft out. If we're trying to, like, for example, create an offer and send it out via like an LOI or something, a lot of these custom fields is what we're using to extract certain, like the MLS price, and then we're putting it through a calculation workflow. And then as that's going through the calculation, it's filling in details on our offer right in here. Again, I know if this sounds super kind of confusing because it is a lot, but we're going to get more in detail in this in future courses. Okay. Custom values. So the difference between custom fields, custom values are more overall for all the other users. So custom fields is unique to each contact that you have in here, whereas a value is something that is, kind of the same, stays pretty consistent through the whole system. Okay. And we use this sometimes for like AI prompts. Okay. Like, for example, if we had a certain AI prompt that we're putting in a workflow, we're going to be, and we don't want to go through all the different workflows to change that AI prompt. We could just come here and change the value, and then that value changes all the other AI prompts. Okay, so it's kind of a value, if you could think of it as just something that it's more consistent. It's just throughout the whole platform, and all the contacts could be using that value, if that makes sense. Scoring. So this is, I have some people that use this. Most don't actually, but this is a way for you to be able to score leads based on You could set it up so that if they click on an email, they get a point. If they then text you, they get another point, or so on and so forth. So you can create certain triggers that is adding points, and then basically then someone's score, the higher the score is probably going to be a much more powerful lead, right? They're just going to be, they obviously went through certain steps that added their score that's higher than others. Domains is where you can buy your domains, whether it's website or dedicated email domains. You could also import your domains here, so everything is in one place. URL redirects, integrations. There's a lot of things here. Again, I'm just like, it doesn't. There are things in here that you are going to go to integrations here when you are connecting, let's say, your Google account. If we want to be getting like your Google Calendar synced up with your calendar here, Facebook and Instagram, if you're going to be doing social media posts, scheduling from here through the marketing tab. If we went back there, you can schedule your social media posts. But this is where you would be connecting your accounts right in here within integrations. Private integrations, I'm not going to mess around with this. We try to really use as much as we can inside of high level. But if we are going to be using like our third party apps, for example, we want to do outbound cold calling, we would maybe be starting to have our own private integrations here to make that happen. Or we would just have that live in the workflows. There's a lot of ways to do things here. Conversation providers, not going to really mess with this. We're going to use LC. But if you're going to be using like Twilio instead of LC, this is where you'd be connecting that. And it's kind of a big pain in the butt, to be honest. So I don't recommend it. Tags. So this is where we can create and edit tags. And tags are, basically labeling contacts. So if, we want to make sure that we have people properly labeled, whether they are a certain type of lead, whether maybe it's an expired listing lead, maybe it's somebody that filled out a form, maybe from a Facebook, right? You can create tags just to label people that you understand who they are, and anyway, it just helps. And most people who sign on, like, right, we have a gazillion tags here already. Let's see, I think I have, it looks like at least over 30 here. 27 looks like tags. So we already have a bunch of tags already within the snapshot here. So you're going to be, set to go off to start, but there's going to be tag, everyone has their own way of trying to organize their leads. So, you could totally create your own tags, and then you could even have workflows. So if someone is their tag changed to that certain tag, it triggers a workflow. Now they're getting emails, texts, or whatever based on their tag. Okay. And labs is basically everything that's kind of new, that's coming out real soon. And so you can come in here and start, like, for example, an update here, voice AI multilingual agent, form-based bots. So this is this is going to be more in the AI course, but anyways, high level has updates all the time. Okay, they're having updates every week, and part of the benefit of being in this course is having us being able to, one, share those updates with you, but also share them in a way that in how you can use the updates for yourself, and how it affects the current platform that you're using, and how you're using it. Because there's a lot of updates that are just kind of like, it doesn't really affect me. I don't really need to update. I don't need to try this on the other. That's true, because there's, again, real estate, we're not using every single thing in high level. In fact, there isn't an industry, I think, in the world that uses every single thing in high level. So keep that in mind. But so there's going to be some updates here that just don't apply to you. But the ones that do, we will new color picker for funnels and websites. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's turn it on. We'll get it. But is that going to be a life changing thing? No, it's not. It's just a different color picker when you're building out websites. All right, so that's basically. I'm just going to end the tour there. Before I go down rabbit holes here. All right, I think that does it for module 1. I think we are going to be. Well, we might have one more course here in module 1. I don't know. Let me end this one, and then I'll see if I cram another one in here. But really, I hope this tour helps in just understanding where everything is in high level. And I know it's a little overwhelming because there's so many different things that you can do. But the whole point of this course is to help you navigate that stuff. And we will be going into, most of these items, and, I'll be teaching you how to customize things, how to build them, and how to use our already built templates that are already uploaded here. All right. Thank you for joining me. Let's go ahead and go on to the next module. Have a great day.